All right, so we are live, people. Good afternoon. It's 3 p.m. here in Tucson, Arizona. I'm admitting someone. Again, I am Professor Jennifer Harrison-Hauer. I am substituting for the awesome Dr. Lunde, who also happens to be our team lead for community health for Fortis. So it's a pleasure to meet everyone. This is your week 2 lecture. And so if I'm hesitating because I'm admitting like 1,000 people at one time, so that's why I usually like to start exactly at 3, because these things again are recorded and we have to take attendance. All righty, so welcome. An announcement from Dr. Lunde to remind you guys, if you haven't already, to get in touch with your cohorts, the folks in your group. Reach out for my team, I provided an email and phone numbers, but if you haven't, you need to do so by as soon as possible, because you have an exam next week, your very first exam. I happen to be hosting my, let me admit someone, exam review today at 9 p.m. Eastern, which will be 6 p.m. my time. I believe Dr. Lunde sent out the list of who's doing exam 1s and 2s and 3s and HESIs and all of that stuff. I believe, I don't have it in front of me, but again, I believe all of her reviews will take place on a Saturday. So just keep that in mind. Any questions about that? Has everyone received the email I'm taking?
Yeah, will your review be recorded?
Yes, all of the reviews. I'm getting, do you guys hear my feedback? I'm charging my buds, so almost ready. This is my second class today, bear with me. I don't want to plug it in until I get a complete green. All of the recordings, all of the reviews are recorded. And I always let my class know as soon as the professors get them to me, I will give them to you. And then also just being, I don't know, like everybody has, I work full-time in clinic as a nurse practitioner. So I get them to you as soon as I can, they have to give them to me and then I have to upload it. So the long answer to your question is yes, it's recorded. And then I usually just try to just sit down at my computer and I have to upload it to YouTube and all this other stuff, but I send it to my group, because I have access to my shells and my classes, and then we email each other. So we're on this group email, all of the community health folks. Like there's been Kay Pettit, all right. So anyway, yes, we get them to you guys as well. But I know Dr. Lunde's are on Saturdays. I remember that. And I believe she has one tomorrow. Your exams, all of your exams will take place during your class period. So your exam 1 will be tomorrow during your class. It is your class. I always like to remind my class the redundancy of it all, that whether I have had students who complete the exam in 30 minutes and rock an A, I've had students take the entire period and make the highest grade in the class. It's not a race. Some folks, what have you, but that is your class. When you're done, you are done. You can be free to enjoy the remainder of your life for that day. I also like to let folks know too that there's a process, there's processes in place. I always like to tell my class, you can email me anytime you want, but I will get you the exam grades when they are available to me. There's processes that go on behind the scenes. So email us, did I pass? You don't want to do that. Just wait, because again, I teach a 9 o'clock class. Dr. Lunde has the 6 o'clock class. There's a couple of 6 o'clock classes and stuff. And so anyway, so we try to have them by late by Saturday-ish, Sunday, definitely by Sunday. What else? Okay, let's get into it. So a couple of weeks of chapters that you guys needed to review. My classes they're interactive. I mean, I can hear myself talk all day. So I'm going to call on people. When you do your reading, just make sure like you have a solid understanding of your concepts. They always start off with these objectives, and you can glean over them, and that's fine. But when you go back, you should be able to look at any objective and understand what it's talking about. Should you need to admitting people, should you need to see it again? I think I should. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. You want to read the chapters. You want to listen to the recordings. We are for that week. So everyone has like a recording of the chapters. So that's 2 things. And then you want to come to class and participate. So that's 3 things. And you want to do your deliverables for that week. So that's 4 things. And then you want to pass the exams and all that kind of fun stuff. All right. So let me start with Ashley Gill. Ashley, what comes to mind when you think of public health? Like, what's the first thing that bursts into your brain?
Since with the COVID recently, I think about pretty much taking care of the population, just keeping them healthy, providing them instructions on how to stay healthy. That's what I think of.
So good. Brianna, what you want to add to it? Brianna McDade.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what we were talking about in the beginning anyways, so I'm a little lost.
Throw it again. We you know where we are. We're talking about public health, population health, it's community health. You're in the right class. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what comes to mind for Brianna when you think of public health, population health, community health, all interchangeable. What bursts into your brain?
I guess just taking care of people, making sure people
you can't give me her answer.
Well, I mean, that's what comes to mind for me. I'm sorry that my answer is
don't be sorry. Okay, let me back it up. What's your answer?
If that is my answer. When I think of all those things, I think of taking care of people, helping people. I think of long-term care. I think of the older.
See, I love that. There you go. I know it. It was in there. I just have to just pull it out a little bit. No, all of that. All of those are correct and wonderful answers. So what I like to try to, because I still work on a reservation. You guys don't know too much about me, and I don't want to take up too much of your class, but I started nursing back in '94 as an LPN. Where are my LPNs at? Got to be 1 or 2. Okay, all right. So okay, Miss Jones. And so I started as an LPN, was doing my prereqs, did a bridge program. I finished up in '98 for my RN associates, which is what you guys are doing now. Back home, we had a program where you come in with your microbiology, anatomy, phys, all that kind of stuff, and you bridge in with the RN 2-year program based on a number of folks that failed out. I hate to say that, but it is what it is. And so basically, you come in your prereqs and you have a year, and so you hit the ground running. Then just jack of all trades, got some bachelor's and stuff, and BSN was online, and then I did the master's in public health back home at an HBCU, Florida A&M, and then worked as their health educator on campus doing public health. That was my community, was the university, going to the dorms and the frats and different things and talking to them about safer, options and STDs and stuff like that. Relocated to Arizona. I'm actually a commissioned officer in the United States Public Health Service, which if you ever see USPHS in your books, that's us. We work with the Surgeon General. There's about 6,500 officers that take care of the health of the people. Think of Ellis Island and people coming over, checking for headlights and all that kind of stuff, and Border Patrol and that. And so I'm still on the reservation. I started as a public health nurse. So I had districts, think of, Mockingbird and all that kind of stuff, districts that I covered that was my responsibility. And then within those districts, that district, I had villages, communities that was all comprised of that. So that was my little area that I was responsible for, making sure they lived the best, healthiest, happiest life possible. All right, so that's me in 29 years. All of those answers are correct. But before, what do you need to do, Tony, before you even go out to the community? What would you think would need to happen first before you step foot on the door?
Survey the population.
I'm sorry, that was Tony. Where's you, Tony? Tony got it.
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
All right, Jennifer Pope. All right, let's just check. Hang on, let me find you because I got two lists. I don't want to call on Deb. Thank you, Tony's doppelganger. Mr. Otterstone, would you like to add to that? Before you even go out to their house or their community, what are you going to do first? What are some things you can do first? You don't know nothing about these people. You just got like a little report to go out and do something. She said survey. That's great. Thank you, Ms. Pope. Crickets up in here. You got none for me, Tony? Nothing? So, okay, let me take it clinical. Let me take it clinical. Before you go in that patient's room, what are you going to do? You made me go clinical. I hate that because we're doing population health, but I'll do it. Playing with my hair, Tony. Give me something. Can you hear me? Let me know you can hear me, Tony. Otterstrom. Otterstrom. I can't hear you. Are you talking? We can't hear you. Type. I'm gonna make you work with that. If I have to work, you have to work. Type into your box. Give me something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now,
Okay.
Mr. Verizon guy. We can hear you
Right.
now. Did you forget to turn it on?
No, my headset, the button got pushed on it. My computer was fine, but my headset wasn't. So, you know.
Okay. All right, give me something.
Basically just doing due diligence beforehand, making sure you have a general idea of what you're going to be walking into.
How would you, okay, okay, let me help you out. This is week 2. So you want to do an assessment. You want to do a head-to-toe assessment of your community as much as possible. Think of that as your bedside patient. So before you, I help you, well, I don't know what y'all doing in clinicals these days, but when I also teach OB with another university, and I do pop health clinicals as well for another university. And so they have to do windshield surveys and a community assessment. So there's a lot of data that has to be gathered beforehand before you even put together a program. And so an assessment refers to, for your book, systematically collecting data on a population, monitoring of the population health status, and making available information. So you want to assess them. You want to know everything you can about them. And then the chapters get into it deeper. So I'm not gonna do that here. So you know what you're walking into. That's good. What's affecting them? What are they dying from? How many do they? What is the age distribution? Do they have jobs? Is it in grocery stores? How far did it take to get them to get their prescriptions filled at CVS? Are there any organic foods? Where can they get their foods? Are there any subsidy programs? Any churches? Where can they pray? If they want to pray, can they pray? Stuff like that. That's my short answer. And so carrying on, there's so much I want to just throw at you, but I'm like trying to rein it back. It's population focused. So you want to, for this entire semester quarter, you want to get it in mind that you're not at the bedside. And the sooner you get yourself out of the mindset of that for this class, that's one, I have many things I'm going to leave you with. You will like soar. So you are not taking care of Mr. Smith in room 102. If you want to kind of like put Mrs. Smith's community in that room and help you out better, I don't know. But population is focused. So we're always thinking of what's the greater good. We're not thinking about Sean or Haley or Kim individually. We're thinking about what's the good of that community, of that target population. And you can, people define it how they define it. We're going to do a case study in a bit. Excited. I love case studies. My class knows I love case studies. Especially when they hone in on the topics and you can kind of see through a scenario what's going on. So then the focus is on health promotion and disease prevention, and also looking at those factors that you can address and remedy, so that they can be free from disease and live the best possible life in their community. Because whenever you go into a community, that's where they live, and you're a guest. You don't live there, they live there. And so, so that's that. Let me get Miss Lindsay Zalak. And you can correct me with names. I've never said your names before. Let Lindsay try to answer this, please. Evidence-based practice, what comes to mind?
Evidence-based practice is,
You better not be typing it on your phone.
I'm not,
Okay.
using cues to determine your next steps. I'm drawing a blank, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Somebody want to help her out? I'm going to call on someone, but anyone like dying to answer this question, or should I just look at my little list?
I answer. It's based on a group of
Who's talking?
Kathy.
Hey, Miss
Kathy,
Pitt.
how are you?
Blessed and
what
highly
I-
favored.
That's awesome. So I take evidence-based as it's where they have did research to find the best way to treat something or to better serve, as in getting the patients better. What is the best way to do this?
It just went right through me.
So that's what I think it is.
Hey, Michaela, what you got for me?
I agree with her. I think it's using research to like make plans for different like nursing plans of care, I guess, and figuring out obviously based on evidence, like the most proper, or I guess just like the best way to treat someone.
All of those are excellent. Let me throw in a word I did not hear, but I'm still ecstatic for the answer. I really am. I was like, oh man, because when you are taking care of folks and you have their lives in your hand, okay, what you do, your actions should be based on scientific research, no wiki stuff. That's why we ask you when you do your papers, CDC, that, and the other. I don't know how many times during clinic, I'm serious, I just whip out my phone in a minute. And I'm just like, not every other second, but if I'm looking at contraindications for birth control, I'm okay, you smoke. How old are you again? You can't get this one. I might kill you, and I like you too much for that. But Miss, no, you gotta get a progesterone. One depot shot? Can't get you that. So you not only do, it's the research, but you want research that's based in scientific theory and evidence. So that's why, like, if you guys, especially if you plan on, I have some achievers in my class that want to be, I want to be NP like you and what have you. You're going to be doing research for your bachelor's, research for your master's, research. And the higher you go in your education, people will knock down your papers. There can't be more than 5 articles. That scientific journals have to be peer reviewed. They can't be more than blah, 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 many years. Because if you pull an excellent article from 1908, it's not applicable today. So then that's what the thing is like I love it when my patients come to me. But if you bring me wiki, we're not going to have a very productive conversation. So that's the thing. Just think of it as your nana, your grandma, what have you. And so that when you do these papers and you write up stuff, you know, especially when you guys are doing your group project, because everyone students are like, oh, I have this, I have that, I can relate, I did this and that research and blah, 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 blah. So I want to be reputable, you know, and when it's peer reviewed, that means that folks that are peers and not subject matter, they're experts, then you can trust what they have to say because they know what they're talking about. And they've done the proper research, the methodology and all that kind of stuff. It's like, thank you for doing my work for me. I can just take your stuff, look at your findings, see what I can extrapolate and carry on with it. Now that's a long answer, but just take from evidence-based practice, if you should see it again, is that you want to make sure it's coming from scientific evidence, okay? And when you do your papers, I mean, part of the rubric talks about all of that. Okay, so let me go into chapter 22. I like to review stuff, make sure you guys understand in case you see things again. Vulnerable population. So every country has a population subgroup, has population subgroups that are vulnerable. When you think of vulnerable population, Wendy, Pettit, what comes to mind?
People that are less fortunate.
In what way? Give me one specific example of a vulnerable population group.
Homeless.
Thank you. Okay, Raven, what you got for me?
I would say people that live in rural areas.
Yeah. I'm gonna get my headphones charged in a minute. Oh, let's go for it. Let's see.
It was breaking up. We couldn't hear you.
I'm working on it. Can you hear me now? No, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
can you hear me now? How is this? Good? Call, I'm looking right at it.
It sounds like you're like really low.
Sound like my hula?
Like your voice is low.
Better? No?
Kinda.
You keep echoing.
You're echoing and breaking up for me.
Me as well.
Okay, let me see here. I've got the volume 2. Maybe I need to turn it down. Okay, so I'll deep. Okay. Any better or not really? Let's push on with this.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right, excellent. So your vulnerable population. So again, homeless, elderly, children, migrant workers, rural areas. What I like about the definition says, when you think of anybody that you consider, just think of folks that were like, had to get the COVID, had to get extra boosters and all of that stuff. Vulnerable populations are more likely to develop health problems in comparison to non-vulnerable population. So like, I have lupus in the house. I do not have lupus, but one of my children does. She's fine. She does good. So I make sure I get my vaccines and do everything so I can keep stuff away from her. But so she's considered a vulnerable population. Chronic diseases, you know, all of that list of folks that were supposed to get 10,000 COVID shots. That might help because it's relatively recent. What factors that lead to people, growing number of vulnerable folks are people that are poor, low income housing, more households headed by women. That's what it says. I am not the textbook. Inadequate education, lack of marketable skills, reduced Social Security payments. COVID caused more people to become more financially disabled. And then, believe it or not, children are growing, they have a higher rate of poverty than adults. Something to think about. And it says that children who live in a single parent household are more likely to be poor than those who live with both parents. That's what it says. So vulnerable populations, they need a wide variety of services. So if you think of your homeless camps, just think of the plethora of needs that they may that they may be challenged with housing and healthcare and social services, maybe mental health, transportation,
Hygiene.
on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So then if you're a public health nurse, population health, community health nurse, and you're assigned and you're working with, let's say that you're at the city of Dallas, Texas, and you're assigned to the homeless camp on 5th and 9th. I don't know anything about Dallas. Those are things that you may be challenged with. And everything you do, one thing I loved about public health, what I still do public health, is that you're never doing any of this stuff by yourself. Yeah, it's a lot, it's a whole thing. But one of the things you're gonna be, I became queen of, like, I had resources. I knew who to call to get folks into WIC, to get folks at the teen parenting programs, to get this, that, and the other. I was queen, still am, of the village approach. I'm like, I can't do this all by myself. And so you network and you make partnerships, you go to meetings and all of this stuff, you pass out your card, like, I'm here, you do this, I do this, come do a presentation. So just keep that in mind. So then, Nicole Long, when you think, tell me your definition of a family unit for the, yeah, when you think of family unit, why is that important to you?
The
Public health.
family unit is the head of the household and their dependents, and it can be of blood origin or not. You are gonna see people with adopted children, people with different cultures in their households, and that kind of thing.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So families have been defined traditionally as mom and dad, like Leave It to Beaver. I'm probably showing my age. That family unit has changed, and the family unit is whatever that person determines as their family. It could be Dorothy and her dog Toto. That's her family. I mean, I've had friends of mine that their dogs were their families, and when they got cancer, they got chemo. I know, and paid thousands of dollars when little Bo was sick. That's their family. And so and I'm not making light of it. When you see things like same-sex families and that sort of thing and what have you, it's not non-traditional. It's that tense in the United States is like, it's changing, and that's fine. And so you want to go in like, the two women, or you see couples with interracial kids, or you see couples with, adopted kids that's a different race than they are. That's their family. And the whole point of all of that is that whoever that family is, you want to involve them in the care as much as the patient wants you to, which means that, you always want to, when I did hospice, there were long lost sisters and relatives and different people that they wanted to involve in their end of life decision that I had to get in touch with and out of state and that sort of thing. So these are things you want to know. And this is when you go down, you sit down and you talk to folks, is there anyone we need to contact with? Which I let them know how you're doing and ask, okay, every time I visit you, Ms. Smith, I'll make sure to call Ms. Singleton and give her a weekly update. Is that okay with you? That sort of thing. So the family structure, you're going to look at the gender makeup, the age distribution, the characteristics that the biologicals, that's what the health, what makes up that family unit as far as the number of adults in the household, age distribution, that sort of thing. Who's working, who's not working, cars, transportation, that sort of thing. And again, if it helps you to think of just one patient or unit and a whole bunch of individuals inside as your community, however that works for you. But you don't want to divide up that concept and look at one person in the family and not the other. They all interact and can benefit or not each other's health outcomes. So that's that. And then let's see, I have some notes here. Yeah, so you want to make sure you're from the beginning, you have a list of folks who to call and talk to. If Ms. Smith is not taking her meds, or there's some concerns, or we need some additional help. You know, she needs eyes on her at night. She's walking around at night, that sort of stuff. So looking at, I'm shifting quickly because I want to make sure we get into this case study. Health risk across the lifespan. I believe that was your chapter 22. It talks a lot about adolescents and children's health and what keeps them safe. Good nutrition is important for everyone. It never stops. But when you're a growing child, and I guess that's why the previous chapters mentioned you know, concerns as far as children in poverty rates or what have you, because they're at vulnerable stages as they're growing, that they need certain things like calcium and vitamin D and hugs and stuff like that. So good nutrition is important. And believe it or not, the text mentions that the population at the greatest risk for poor nutrition is actually adolescents. So again, there's still children growing, and we need to make sure that we get them into reduced programs and WIC and that sort of thing as needed. Miss Lombardi. When you think of, who are you? Don't be stop. Here you are. Okay. When you think of prevention, primary prevention, what is one single important action that we can do as a healthcare community, population health, nurse, I can just go on, to help to prevent or reduce certain diseases?
Vaccinations.
Yes, that was a long question. I was like, how do I not just say that? Excellent, 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 excellent. And so, you know, back in the turn of the century, well, before that, 1900s, people were dying of like Spanish flu and Black Death, and I don't know, different things that went. People didn't wash their hands, lose outhouses. We actually still have outhouses on the reservation, believe it or not. And so hygiene, sanitation, and all of that fun stuff. I actually have a video on my YouTube page that I have my students see. John Snow and cholera. Anybody ever heard of him? I'm not going to spend too much time on it. This is he's known as one of the founders or father of public health. Actually, in England, they had a high incidence, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, of cholera in the streets of London. And there was he did epidemiology, father epidemiology and public health, but epidemiology. His own case studies, and found out it came from this one water pump on Main Street or what have you. And he literally like just removed the pump, removed the hand handle, started teaching about hand hygiene or what have you, and people started to stop dying of cholera so quickly. Accidents and injuries are a major cause of death, cause of health problems in children and adolescents. The majority of them are preventable. How many times have you gone down your street? Kid ain't got the helmet on, seat belts, right in the front. They're supposed to be at a car seat at a certain age, proper car seats, facing rear, forward, blah, blah, blah. But all of those things are important if they're not in a car seat, and not even a car seat, proper car seat, boosters, not in the front until a certain age, and this sort of thing. That's why if you get stopped and your kid is not, I mean, anyway. So most of them are preventable. And yeah, so children of homeless families are at risk for health problems, environmental dangers, and stress. I mean, the stress from just being homeless. Stress in itself is just another lecture all in itself. What it does to your body. You're dealing with chronic stress from work and jobs and this and that. And anyway, smoking is a risk factor of some health problems like lung cancer, heart disease, osteoporosis, and even reproductive outcomes. And so, because it's tobacco with a whole bunch of different carcinogens in it. You know, there's embalming fluid in cigarettes. Did anybody know that? There's like over, I don't want to quote it, like 100 different things
So it's not like just tobacco that grows from the ground and they make a cigarette out of it. It's the stuff that they put in there that get you all, and they're carcinogens. Anyway, if you're bored one day, Google it. I did one day, like, oh my God, it's got formaldehyde in there. And like rocket fuel or something. There's a whole bunch of stuff. It's just, okay, all right, I'm done with that. Oh, where do I want to go? So prevention. Let me go with, let's delve into primary and secondary and tertiary prevention. Keep an eye on my clock here so it doesn't run awry. Okay, good. We're good. So then, all right, I'm looking here. Ms. Sewell, Elizabeth, have I spoken to you today? Let me speak to you. Give me your definition of primary prevention.
Primary prevention is something that you can stop doing. So like smoking, cigarettes, your diet.
Okay. Okay. Let's add.
I was trying to think of something else, but those are the two
No,
that came to my mind.
I will take that at this moment, and we're going to add to it, Ms. Zalek. Help me out, Zalek. Did I call on you already, Lindsay?
Yes, but I
No,
can
Ms.
answer again.
No. Do we have Jennifer Hunter?
Yes, you have her.
Okay, I'm looking at this list, and I'm like trying to like quickly scan because I don't know your faces, and there's a lot of gaps, like people that aren't here. So I'm like, I don't want to just call somebody's name, like, where is she? All right, primary prevention.
So my computer went out when what did she say? I don't want to repeat what she said.
I don't even know what she said. You want to repeat it?
I said factors like stopping smoking or like changing your diet.
Okay, yeah.
Modifiable risk factors.
Correct. So I would kind of say the same thing, like, and like she said, the vaccinations, the other lady said, for primary. No, secondary is going to the doctor. Yeah, I would agree with what she said for primary.
What you're gonna agree with going to what would you gonna agree with?
I'm going to agree with like the vaccinations and
vaccinations, yes, but I'm looking for meat here. I want to go to Joyeta. I know I'm not doing it right. I'm not Joyti.
Yeah.
Joyti.
So the primary, our guess is like, giving them an education, teach them like how to prevent those things.
This all day.
Like exercising, diet.
Yes and no. Yes, secondary. It's active treatment. Okay, so we're gonna go through this, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna fine tune it. All of these are great, but I'm just gonna help you because if for this class, if two things, if you can remember, you're not at the bedside, you're not at oh, my southern accent is coming in. You're not at the bedside, you're not in the clinic, you're not changing someone's Foley, you're not putting in a catheter, not doing sterile dressing changes. That's the first thing. So get that out of your mind. Number two, you're looking at keeping the population healthy and preventing further complications and illnesses. So you come in, you're like, okay, I'm dealing with this. So when I first started on the reservation in 2008, they were dealing with the syphilis outbreak. The man was out there, CDC, knocking on doors and stuff. It was a thing. And so when we got that under control, we do routine screenings for folks, even if they come in with a cough and that sort of stuff. So we haven't had an outbreak since 2008. We've had Rocky Mountain spotty fever outbreak. We've had pertussis outbreak. We've had measles outbreak. We've had some dengue. We've had hante. So I want to make sure we get the definition. I want to continue with my flow. Secondary. Who haven't I heard from? Is there a Jones here? I'm looking. Oh, you know what?
Right here.
Okay, talk to me, Shelley. What's secondary?
So for me, secondary would be when there is already an illness and that's what we're treating. To me, primary is getting to where we don't have the disease at all and preventing the disease process. Secondary would be We know that there's a disease and that's what we're treating.
Bless your heart. It's so eloquently spoken, but you are absolutely not correct. But it's so lovely. It was lovely. It was lovely. No, and I'm not just saying that. It was clear. So the adjectives and the adverbs matched, and there was commas and semicolons. But I'm not. If I would throw away my master's in public health if I didn't correct you. But I'm not going to correct you right this second. But thank you, because
Okay.
no,
Yep.
it was so beautifully spoken. But it's wrong. Horace,
Okay.
Jory, you.
For secondary,
Yes. Were you on another planet? Come back to me.
No, you're fine. So for secondary, I feel like what they said is what I was thinking is the issue. So I feel like it's like echoing. Sorry, mine's echoing. 1 second.
Oh, I know.
Oh, sorry. So secondary is like a type of prevention, like once you're like taking steps to, so the first one I think of like eating healthy, exercising, doing things to keep yourself like healthy. The second one is preventions you can take to make sure you're healthy. Like when you do your annual checks, there's nothing wrong yet, but you're like checking for them.
That's better. Okay, John Dedu Sibomona. I'm trying.
Yeah, you did. So secondary is when you identify the disease at an early stage and then you treat it to prevent it like being so bad.
You're on the right path. I'm gonna stop you there. He got the best answer so far. Tertiary, who
Can I help out?
Who?
Jennifer.
Who?
Jennifer. Hope.
Oh, hey, hello.
Hello, can I help out?
Not right now, but I know you're dying to. Okay, I got you. Bring it back down a second. There's 20 other people in the class. I want to make sure. Have I, seriously, because it's going to take me. Singleton, have you answered any questions?
I don't think I have shared.
Okay, let's move to tertiary because I have a whole bunch of answers for y'all, but I just want to go. I just want to keep it going. Tertiary. What comes to mind?
For me?
Yeah, for you.
Okay, so when I'm thinking of tertiary, I'm thinking a disease that's already in effect, and you're trying to make sure that it's not furthering to anything, like it's already there, so you're trying to prevent the spread of it.
Virtual hug. I don't even need to add to that. Okay, so I am looking. Raise your hand if you have not answered a question for me. And keep in mind, I just go all the way through, like, and we leave 10 minutes early. So just let you know, if you got to go to the break, that's fine. Just type in everybody don't need to know your business. Just go into the bathroom and then, because I have to send these logs to Dr. Lunde, and then I'm back. So, and everything's recorded. I'm just letting it is what it is. So has everyone answered at least one question at some point so far in this lecture?
I have not.
Okay. Okay, make sure. Oh, Sean, you have not. Correct? Okay. So just Sean, anybody else hasn't answered anything? Sean and Morris, okay, Morris and who else? Sean Morris, Haley Thomas. Anybody else?
Kim.
Oh, hey, Miss Kim Rodriguez, anybody else? Okay, so that's a good roster. Let me take you back and put you out of your misery. Because what you want to do is that if you get this into your brain cells, like as sooner than later, I can't promise you, but you should like rock this class. If you understand, A, you're not at the bedside, so your mind process has to shift to the greater good, and B, you gotta get these preventions, primary, secondary, tertiary, because you will see them again and again and again in different ways, different forms, on different things in this class. Because population health, we live in primary prevention. That's where we want to stop. There is no, okay, I have to catch myself. Primary, think primary prevention, think just nothing exists, okay? You are giving them a vaccine to prevent, so you can borrow that particular P, okay? Prevent, there's nothing there. You're talking to them about education on certain topics like eating healthy. You're doing a presentation on gun control and gun violence. You're doing STD education at the schools. You're talking to them. There's nothing going on. There's a vaccine. You're teaching them to wash their hands, wear their mask, you know, we have a cold, don't rub your eyes, all this kind of stuff. All this stuff that seems simple, but you would be surprised. You would just be surprised. So get that in your head. And that's at the top of the triangle. Secondary screening surveillance, SSS, secondary screening surveillance, secondary screening surveillance. Think of the women in the PAPs, the men in testicular prostate exams, checking, screening. So in breast mammograms, I like to tell women, and John and Tony, you just gonna have to just hang on for a second. But I like to let women know that if you come into my clinic and you're like, I got a lump in my breast, and they do a mammogram, that mammogram, or if the mammogram finds something, that's a screening is not diagnostic. A screening is a screening. So if you have an abnormal pap, it does not mean you have cervical cancer until you get a piece of that meat. You get a biopsy. You get a biopsy of that lesion. You send it off to pathology, and a pathologist who's a medical doctor said, that's stage 1, that's stage 2, that's stage 3, that's stage 4. So if you want to look for screening, surveillance is when you're looking at, that's how we knew about our syphilis cases, because you have a threshold, and let's just say you have 3 people in your tribe. Nobody has syphilis. If one person gets syphilis or HIV, then 33%, 0.33 of your folks, so that's an increase in your threshold, that's surveillance. So then think of that. Tertiary is the only one where there is a disease present, period. Do not complicate it. There's a disease present. So I had a student say, well, what, you know, on the such and such, it said diabetes, and you're teaching them. I hope you always educate your people and teach them on their deathbed. I hope you tell them to go to the light. You know, it's, you know, when they get cancer, I hope you teach them that they're gonna probably lose their hair, and it's okay. It may or may not grow back, and there's wigs and stuff like that. But if there's a disease present, I don't want to use the word too late. It's too late. Once you have diabetes, you'll always have diabetes. Once you have high blood pressure, you'll always have high blood pressure. You can control it with diet and exercise. You can control it with lisinopril. You can control the diabetes with insulin or metformin. You can control it with losing weight and exercising, but you're still not going to have it. You're going to have diet-controlled diabetes. That's why when I have pre-diabetes come through, I just get on it like the Mad Hatter. I'm like, you too close, back it up a little bit. So pre-diabetes can change, and I don't want to get into all that, but pre-diabetes, you can get off that merry-go-round and never get diabetes, but it's your warning sign. So if a disease is present, if you see that anywhere, it's tertiary. That's it. Keep it extremely simple. So however one is easier for you to think about so that you can differentiate between the others. Tony, do you have a question? You're just stretching. You just going like that? You just stretching? Just the elbow, a little kink going on? So your diabetic folks, I hope you make sure that they get their annual flu shot, or you recommend it, a pneumococcal and all that stuff. Just because you give them a vaccine don't mean that they don't still have, they don't still have the disease. And we'll never intentionally trip you up. You know, that's not what we're intending to do. So, okay, so So that is the nutshell of primary, secondary, tertiary. I'm going to stop, take a little swig. Questions at this point?
I have a question.
Okay, hopefully I have an answer.
Vaccinations would be considered primary. Sorry, 1 second. My dogs, 1 second. They would be considered, right? They'd be considered primary because it's like pre-screening. It's before you are trying to find the disease process.
As far as in general, as far as vaccines are concerned, you're providing a healthcare action where the disease has not occurred yet in order to prevent it. So you think of prevention. You're doing that action to hopefully prevent someone from getting the flu and shingles and all of those things that you see at the Walmart. That's what you're trying to do so their body builds out those passive antibodies and not get the disease. That's what you're trying to do when you teach somebody to lose weight so they don't get high blood pressure and everything else that goes along with being overweight. You're doing your best by your actions in teaching and education and vaccines to prevent. So if I would say anything, I would think primary prevent. What are you're trying to prevent something from occurring? Secondary, you're looking or you're monitoring. Surveillance is, like I said, you're like, you got your like spider senses up. We got a case of syphilis. We hadn't had a case of syphilis. You know, you see these movies like Outbreak and stuff, and they're like, oh, Ebola. We haven't had Ebola since what's coming on? And then you see them people get on the plane and all of a sudden it's spreading. That's, you know, surveillance. The CDC does an excellent job of that. Tertiary, I mean, I don't know. For me, tertiary, they're all, I don't say they're all easy to me, but whichever one helps is the best for you to like get in your mind, then you're like, okay, I know this is not primary. Am I screening, surveillance? I think it's another S. Am I looking for something? And then you know how they have those recommended screenings and stuff like for osteoporosis for I'm a women's health nurse practitioner, so I know the women's one. Sorry. Perhaps at a certain age is recommending that you get your mammograms at a certain age. It's recommending this, it's recommending that. There's recommendations and stuff like that and guidelines that people follow. And that's how we know to say, hey, you know, or let's just say, hey, Jory, you know, it's time for your annual flu shot. The CDC recommends that everyone over the age of 6 months receives the flu vaccine every year. Would you like your flu shot today? I don't know who answered that, asked that, Sean. Okay, so I did not touch, shame on me. I start talking and I just digress. School health nursing is an important subgroup of public health nurses that you want to be familiar with. I don't know how many hints of that I can drop. They provide health care for children and families. Probably became popular around the 1900s, I guess, when people stopped being, you know, educated at the house, going to schools. It used to be, well, most of the things in this country, infectious diseases. Now these guys are like dealing with kids that have feeding tubes and asthma and inhalers and all of that kind of stuff. Know your healthy people 2030 objectives in relation to school health nursing to enhance the health of children in schools and increase the number of nurses working in the schools. Give me, Haley, an example of primary prevention in the schools. Is Haley back? Haley, where you at, Haley? Where did Haley go? Okay, Kimberly. And Kimberly, I think you're lovely. Your glasses are, Kimberly, your glasses are spot on, beautiful, but I need to see your whole face. I don't know why I didn't catch that. All of you, I need to see all of you. Okay, that's 98% of you. I'll take it. Go ahead. I'm telling you, they look at these videos, y'all. They won't be contacting me. All right, primary prevention in schools. Example, please. Kim. What happened to her? Wasn't she there?
It looked like it was reconnecting her, so I think she's having internet issues.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay. All right, then Ashley. Primary prevention in the schools. Give me an example, please, Ms. Morris.
I'm trying to think of a primary. I'm thinking more secondary, I think. Primary, would that be like like helmet or seatbelt safety education to kids?
It can. Yes, it can. Thank you very much. Your primary prevention in schools includes health promotion. So just think. Okay, you already know two amazing examples: vaccine, health promotion, and education. I don't know, Professor Harrison-Hauer educating kids about wearing their seatbelt, just stuff like that. Okay, awesome. All right. So then, did Kim come back? Kimberly, give me secondary prevention in the schools. Ms. Rodriguez, you can unmute. If you want to type it in, you can type it in the chat.
I can give something.
Go ahead, Ms. Thomas.
So like when they do like eye screenings, like lice checks, things like that.
Perfect, perfect. And again, if that's something that helps you to remember screenings and surveillance, and you know you've knocked out secondary, if you should see it again, you're like, okay, they're not screening for nothing. Da, 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 da. Is there a disease present? Somebody has the diagnosis. Okay, and then can you, Sean, go ahead and give me tertiary? I thought Sean was here. There you are, Sean, Salt Lake City.
I am here, sorry. I think, could that be like when school nurses are kind of giving like insulin to kids to help prevent like,
Yes.
the process?
So again, little kids have issues too. They can have big people, little people stuff. They can have diabetes, type juvenile, and they don't call it anymore, type 1. They can have asthma, they can have diabetes. People think, oh, some children have born with half a heart. They have, yeah, you get the point. Okay. So I want to show you a video, you guys, and it didn't work earlier this morning, but I'm thinking positive. All right, so I'm looking at Sean, the way this thing has it on my screen. Sean, so interact with me. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Now, I may need to get out my buds. I don't know why. Okay, okay.
I'm not sure if sound's on yet.
No.
I can see it.
Can you hear now, Sean?
No, I can't hear it. I can see it though.
This has happened last time, and I don't know why. Because it played in previous semesters.
Can you hear it? Yes or no, Sean?
No, I can't hear it.
Anybody a Zoom guru? Oh, let me share sound. Let me share sound.
24 nurses serve an
Yeah,
average
there
of
we go.
833 students apiece.
No, don't do that.
Nearly
Hang on.
100.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's just on your arm. Is your belly fine? There's nothing on your belly or your back, nothing itches, just your arm.
Can you say ah?
Ah.
Does it hurt in here? No, but it hurts up in here? Yeah. Yeah, we better ice that before we tape it.
In the Sioux Falls School District, 24 nurses serve an average of 833 students apiece. Nearly 100 more students than is nationally recommended.
Do you want to sit with a little warm pack on your tummy while you're having snack?
Within this very specialized practice, school nurses seemingly do everything under the sun, and then some.
Where does it hurt?
Navigating staff questions and concerns,
There.
coordinating with counselors and teachers, regularly feeding some students, evaluating students or helping develop IEPs, administering vision and hearing screenings, and the list
I started out the morning with actually one of our students in labor.
goes on.
A little boy that came in with a headache. They sent him to the neurologist. They did an MRI, and they diagnosed him with migraine headaches.
And on.
About a month ago, we had a student that was down with a seizure for about a minute with no known history. And so that can be really scary for staff and trying to get that figured out. And the student actually had a language barrier, so that made that a lot more difficult with getting a hold of the mom.
This chart, for example, is no exaggeration, and in fact, might be out of date.
I do get questions all the time, sometimes more than questions. Was it last year or the beginning of this year? It must have been last year. Within 2 weeks, I sent two to the emergency room, and both of them ended up having heart procedures done. So sometimes it can be something simple, you know, about themselves or their children, and then sometimes they present with things that are a lot more difficult, and we refer them on, and thank goodness everything turned out okay.
Almost nothing about a school nurse's day is standard. They might have some regular visitors.
Sometimes we have students that just need to come see us and have some time, some downtime, and then we like to call those, you know, I like to call them my daily vitamins. And so if they need to come and take a break, then we like to give them that opportunity. But yet we are here to assess those needs. Maybe they need to talk to the counselor, or maybe they just need to have their time and go back to class. There's a lot of research out there that with having school nurses in your building, students stay in school and the percentage is higher and they get back to class quicker. I always figure that somewhere along the line, they need that contact. They need that daily contact with someone. I have a lot of little boys that come occasionally that they are living with their dads and their moms are out of the picture for some reason or other. And you know, I think they just need somebody that has the motherly contact with them, that listens, that cares, you know.
And there are some things that must happen every day.
100. Oh, good. Very good. Okay, and then we'll give you your snack.
But beyond that,
Kind of blurry, isn't it?
well, there's so much more.
When they come in for a stomach ache, usually if you dig a little deeper, it's not a stomach ache, and there's a lot of other things going on, and a lot of times the kids just need somebody to talk to, and oftentimes it's the nurse who runs into a lot of things first and finds out a lot of things and can help make a difference in that person's life. So you never know what the day is going to bring. There's always excitement, and never are 2 days the same.
And we did our flu shots here at school for the students, and so we gave over 100 flu shots. I have a student that arrives about between 20 till to a quarter till that needs a nurse on campus while she is here. And she has an interesting syndrome where she had a stroke and surgery that was not terribly successful, and she's developed a seizure disorder, and so she has the potential to go into status, which is a continuous seizure, or she can have another stroke. And so the doctor has warranted that someone be on campus. Just remember to keep it nice and clean, all right? Is that better?
You're having a better day today, aren't you? Are you happier today? Are you happier today? Yeah. You're back to smiling now, aren't you? Yeah. You're back to smiling. You feel better. You feel better.
Tomorrow is
All right, buddy.
another day.
Hi. Oh, you're having peaches today, huh? We're going to put that on your tummy, okay? There you go. There you go. You can just hold it right there, okay? See how he eats. And that may be telltale. Okay. You don't look too bad. You don't have a fever. Did you want to lay down a little bit? Okay, come on in here.
A little while ago would be a good example how of a stomach ache turned something else. He complained of his stomach hurting, but you just have to ask a couple questions and you find out that he's not eating breakfast or lunch. He doesn't eat lunch at school because he can't afford the food here and he doesn't qualify for any assistance. So that's just an example of how something that seems so little like a stomach ache turns into a much bigger problem.
Does that feel a little better? Okay. And then we'll put that around there. And then we'll just, maybe we'll just put one on because that other one got kind of icky. There we go. And here, I'll just take this end off. And then we'll put this one on so it doesn't flap around on you, okay? Does that feel better? Oh, I'm glad you came back. 7.6? You want
7.
Yeah, let's do 7.
Okay.
Excellent, good. Okay, good. And then you're gonna eat about 28 carbs? Okay. Great, well have a good lunch.
Thank you.
Are you itchy? You are, what's your name?
Maria.
What is it?
Maria.
Maria, okay. All right, well, let's just look and see what we have here. I went into a 4th grade classroom and talked about some hygiene issues that can start early at that age. We also did a germ costume for the kindergartners out there at Renberg, and they really enjoy that. Talk about germs and good hand washing. I've also had done some self-breast checks, kind of a health awareness for some middle school students here. We have a program that we're trying to get going with the girls. So yes, we get into the classroom as well. This is Julie Hansen, the nurse at Terry Redland. And Zayden was here this morning for our dental screening. And they identified him as having immediate needs for dental care. Do you have a dentist that you usually use?
You know, when I started, and it's almost been, let's see, 13 years, and I've always been at Roosevelt. And when I first started, you know, I thought, oh, maybe I'll start at the high school, but maybe go to the elementary school. And once I started in high school, I fell in love with it. I feel like you can really make a difference in kids' lives.
Occasionally we have nursing students from Augustana or the LPM program or different places that come and shadow us for a day or a half a day. And I think they are very surprised at all the different things we do. I think they think that we're just to, you know, put on some Band-Aids and assess injuries and be here for that kind of thing, when in fact we do, for every time a child is referred for special education, we have contact with the family of some sort.
I really believe that until somebody sees what we do all day, they have no idea. I mean, I think even staff sometimes that have come down here for whatever reason, you know, after they had to wait whatever 10 minutes to get through all the kids that were down here, you know, and sometimes they'll be like, I never knew you dealt with all that stuff. So I think it's eye-opening to a lot of people when they see actually what goes on in the nurse's office.
92.
Okay, so whatever you're experiencing isn't your blood sugar, okay? It's probably has to do with your cold and your ears. Let me look at that again. Pull that down, yeah. Yeah, see, your other tooth is just there, ready to come in. Did you know that? It is. Would you like to get some water and rinse your mouth out?
I
I already did.
Did you? Well, I mean, do you want to rinse and spit in the bathroom?
Sure.
And then I think you got maybe a little blood on your face.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you better get that cleaned up. Okay, let's go in here.
Because the more you itch, the worse it's gonna get. Okay? If you keep itching it, it'll get worse. So you put the lotion on your arms, right? Yeah. Did you put it anywhere else? No. Just your arms? Yeah. Okay. That's probably the culprit then. Just kind of keep this on where it really itches. Okay. Okay? You can just sit in here and I'll check on you in a little bit, okay? All right.
I love being a school nurse. You have variety every day. You feel appreciated and needed, and I really feel like I can be helpful, and my day is complete if I get a student to the dental van that hasn't seen a dentist for 2 years. If I have a student that needs glasses and we get glasses for them. If I have a student that literally had a student that had a hole inside the middle of his tooth, was a strong advocate that you need to take him to the dentist, and he got in and he got it fixed. That makes my day. And so school nursing, like I said before, is a very unique specialty nursing area, and you do it for the kids. Everything we do is for the kids, and it's always just being an advocate for them and being there for them.
All right, you guys. Everything we do it for the kids. So I'm looking at our time, and we are not gonna have time to go over the case study. In our groups, we have 9 minutes left, or let's see. Yeah, it's not gonna give us enough time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stay on for any additional questions. Yeah, our case study is, well, I did it with my class, so they knew about it. So I don't even know, because I sent them the information. Did you guys get information on a case study at all? So you have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay, no, okay. Well, then it won't be fair, I guess. I mean, we could do it from cuff, but it's like this whole thing that I do. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway. But if you don't know about it in advance, it's just like, I'm gonna hit you with it like, So questions, comments. Thank you for letting me substitute for Dr. Lunde today. I'll hang on. Again, my personal exam 1 review will be 9 p.m. Eastern. Maybe I'll see some of your faces again. And if there aren't any questions, you're free to go. Thank you. And I may see you around for a HESI review or an exam review. Enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. You're free to leave. I'm gonna hang on if anyone has any questions or comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dears, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's the same Zoom number. Somebody just asked me.
I was gonna say, is there any way you can send that case study to us or something?
Sure, I will send it to, well, actually, I think she has it. Because I sent it to, I'm the case, let me do this. Let me stop recording because I don't think that needs to be part of it.